Losing weight is one of, if not the most common New Year's resolution, and one of the reasons it's so common is because people struggle with it, so they make it year after year. I wanted to make a video for people who struggle with losing weight, so that hopefully this is the last time you ever have to use up a New Year's resolution on it. I'm going to keep this direct and to the point. We'll split the video into 3 sections. First, we'll go through reasons why people fail at losing weight, so that you can avoid those. Second, we'll go through the theoretical fundamentals on how to lose weight. We'll be quick with that because it's simple and utterly boring. And finally, and something I really want to focus on, we'll go through the real world, holistic, all-encompassing factors that help or hinder weight loss. I want to focus on this a lot because I think these things are more important than they are often given credit for. Why people fail at losing weight. Number 1, they don't understand the fundamentals. So most things in life, you don't really need to know how or why they function as they do. If your iPhone stops working, you can just take it into the shop, someone will fix it for you. Your diet isn't like that. You need to understand how and why it works if it does happen to work, so that then if you run into any problems, your progress stops, you can identify and rectify that. For example, you could be following a keto diet or an intermittent fasting diet, and if it stops working for you but you don't know why it stopped working, then you're not able to fix that issue. So we're going to cover the core concept of calories in versus calories out in the next section. Number 2, they give up too fast. So this could be down to just generally having unrealistic expectations and or being impatient, or it could be down to just having bad methods of tracking and judging your progress. For example, if you're not weighing yourself in a manner that's going to give you consistent readings that you can actually use, i.e. first thing in the morning, every morning before food, then you might just be looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, I don't really look any thinner yet, therefore this might not be working, therefore I might just give up, right? As ever, we tend to overestimate what we can do in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. There's some quote about that from someone, I don't know. Number 3, busyness / stress / external factors. So if you're busy bringing up 8 kids or working 2 jobs or running a business or preparing for uni exams, then losing weight can feel like another thing on your plate, if you forgive the pun. It feels like something else that is detracting from your mental energy and your focus, and it's something that's just making you busier and even more stressed. So it can be the first thing to go when times are particularly stressful or busy or whatever it is, right? And so we need to obviously think about how to seamlessly assimilate the whole weight loss process into your life and routine to make it as easy, as effortless, and as unnoticeable as possible. The fundamentals of losing weight. This is pretty simple, so I'm not going to labor the point or overcomplicate things. Losing weight is simply a matter of calories in versus calories out. Calories in are comprised of absolutely everything that passes your lips. All food, all drink, including alcohol, every little thing down to the oil that you fry in, the sauce you dip your chips in, even the stuff you eat on weekends. Calories out are comprised not just of those you physically burn through exercise, but all the calories that you use for non-exercise activity. Typing on your keyboard, walking around your house, lifting up your knife and fork, as well as all the involuntary bodily processes such as your heart beating, eyelids blinking, food digestion, absolutely everything. If you consume fewer than you burn, you lose weight. People call this a calorie deficit. If you consume more than you burn, you gain weight. People call this a calorie surplus. Most of the time we end up in a state of relative equilibrium, whereby on average we consume around about how much we need, and therefore our weight stays fairly consistent. So it follows that anytime you gain weight, the sole reason for that is because you consumed more calories than you burned. There's literally no other reason for it, aside from very rare medical conditions that you probably don't have, right? So as much as we would like there to be another reason, there just isn't one, and vice versa for any time you lose weight. The reason for that is because you burned more calories than you consumed. Therefore, any particular diet that leads to weight loss does so for that reason, be it paleo, Atkins, keto, intermittent fasting, eating 8 cabbages a day. Any diet that facilitates weight loss does so solely because they enable you to maintain a calorie deficit. Now, just because they work for the same reason, it doesn't necessarily mean that all diets are equally useful or equally useless. Some diets might make it easier for you to maintain a calorie deficit, depending on your schedule or circumstances. Keto might make you feel fuller for longer due to the higher satiety of the protein and fats that you can eat, which will then curb your appetite and ultimately lead to you consuming fewer calories. Intermittent fasting gets to the same place, only this time by reducing the actual window of time that you can consume calories within. So just because they work for the same underlying reason doesn't mean that they don't get there by different means. So what does this mean? It means that you can choose any diet or no diet, because you understand how and why diets work, and so it now becomes a choice of preference rather than necessity. If any particular diet fits well with your lifestyle, then by all means go for it. If you want to be the keto guy, or you want to be the intermittent fasting guy or girl, or whatever you want to do, then that's fine, right? But as long as you obey the fundamental calories in versus calories out principle, then anything will work. I mean, the best diet ultimately is the know what you're actually eating diet. That's not a specific diet, don't Google that. I'm using it to, as in, the having a clue what you're doing diet is the best one. Right, now that basic ass boring stuff is out of the way, I want to give you some actual practical guidance, because I think we can all agree that losing weight on paper is much easier than it is in practice, right? Because on paper, it's as simple as consume fewer calories than you burn. So it sounds easy, right? So why then is a large proportion of the country, probably the world, overweight? It's because the average modern lifestyle doesn't really promote calorie control. It actually promotes like just being overweight quite a lot, to be honest. So I just want to give you some kind of more applicable stuff that will help facilitate that calorie deficit. We know that that's what we've got to stick to, but there are some real world things that you got to think about. Some of these are going to be super obvious and easy, and some might be things you haven't thought about. Either way, I hope that you find them useful and helpful, so let's do it. All right, we'll take the lowest hanging fruit first. Eat foods that fill you up. I know this isn't particularly insightful, don't worry, they'll get better. It's obvious, but I did have to say it because some people are still out there like drizzling olive oil on shit, not having a clue. So foods that fill you up, you are more satiated on fewer calories, therefore less likely to overeat, less likely to go over your calories, and more likely to continue losing weight. It's an obvious one, I'm sorry, it's done, I had to do it. Number two, work on your sleep. So tired people are basically just shitter at everything. If you have better sleep, then you will have better willpower, you'll have better training sessions, basically your whole life will be better. If you are tired, you are much more likely to eat the cake. So my one tip for improving your sleep would be to work on the regularity of your sleep schedule. So bedtimes and the time you get up in the morning. There's lots of other things you can do, but just remember that more sleep equals better functioning individual, and one of your functions, at least for this year, if you're watching this, is to not be fat. So that's tip number two. Number three, think about your overall stress levels and obviously try to reduce them as much as possible. Again, that's easier said than done. Some things are out of your control, but whatever is in your control, you should control, because happy people just function better. Same as more sleep. Happy people are just better at everything, including diet, and stressed people are just more likely to eat cake than not stressed people. That's just a fact. So anything you can do to just like, if you need to meditate, if you need to like, you know, go for a walk and I don't know, do some shit, get zen with nature, speak to a chaffinch in your garden. I don't know, man, just don't be stressed. Number four, make your routine as easy and as enjoyable as possible. So if you're gonna do cardio, do some cardio that you enjoy. If you're gonna do some kind of training, then don't have to necessarily think about what is the optimal training to do. If your goal is to just lose weight, you need to think about what's enjoyable, what's easy to fit into your schedule. So like, for example, a hypertrophy workout might not be great if you've got half an hour to train, whereas like CrossFit, you can get some like WODs done, smash out a 6 circuit and that and feel great after it, and it's gonna help you, right? So whatever fits better into your schedule makes things easier, and whatever makes things more enjoyable for you, because if you enjoy it, then you're much more likely to stick to it. Same goes for if it fits into your schedule. Number five, and this is absolutely key, we're getting psychological up in this bitch, right? So motivation is the reward for progress, not the other way around, right? Some people think that they've got to be enthusiastic and get hyped up and like probably get in the zone before they can go to the gym or get on a treadmill or go for a run, do whatever and make progress, right? But that's a bad way to look at things, because it means that your progress, your action is somewhat dependent on your mood. It shouldn't be like that. You should be a robot, mate. I'm a robot who gets on the treadmill. I'm a robot who doesn't eat donuts, right? I'm a robot who just does shit, yeah? And then after it, I might learn to feel, you know, my robot heart might get some satisfaction and contentment if I lose 20 pounds, right? But it's not the other way around. It's not like I'm this Rocky montage, I got hyped up, I got to put some fucking speech on in my ears and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, right? That's fucking bullshit, because enthusiasm is fleeting, mate. It is transient as the night. Number six, remember that difficulty comes in waves. It's not just this linear, gradual, consistent increase of how hard stuff feels. So think about this, right? You're a marathon runner, you're 15 miles into a marathon and you're thinking, shit, this is like super difficult. This is me running, by the way. There's no way I can run another like 9 or 10 miles, or hour long it is, 11, whatever, right? But then you keep going, right? And you think, oh shit, I might have to stop. But then you get through the wall and then it gets easier again. You might find the last few miles were easier than the few miles before that, because it isn't just this steady increase of difficulty and how much you struggle, right? So what you can draw from that is that if you're finding it particularly difficult, maybe you're like 3 weeks in, you're like, shit, it's already this hard and I'm only 3 weeks in. Well, you might think that it's only gonna get harder. It's not gonna get harder. You know, the word I'm looking for is perseverance, because then you get beyond that hill, over that wave, through that wall, whatever you want to say. There's metaphors flying everywhere, right? But then it gets easier again. And so you go through phases of like difficulty, easiness, easy, difficult. You know what I'm saying, right? It's the ebb and flow of difficulty. That's how shit works. And it's not necessarily related to your progress either. So like on a chart, your difficulty, how hard it feels, the rate of perceived exertion, you know, it's like this everywhere, mate. And your progress is also everywhere. And it's just these fucking lines, mate. It looks like a dance movie. It wasn't supposed to be. But you don't really need to, you're just going forward, mate, that's it. Number 7, pace yourself, right? Don't bite off more than you can chew. I understand that everyone's super hyped because it's January, they all want to go and get shit done. But you know, just don't be daft. Like, don't go out and try and run a marathon tomorrow. Don't go out and try and swim the channel if you never, I mean, if you've never swam before, definitely don't do that. I mean, learn in the shallow end, shit like that. But you know what I'm saying, right? It's related to that point that I made earlier about the cause and effect relationship between like your enthusiasm and like what you actually do. Like, we're all motivated, but it doesn't mean that we should go out there and act like it, right? You don't need to like listen to some like David Goggins like video and then just go and do 10 sets of 10 RPE 9 deadlifts, right? Because next day your spine's gonna feel like a bran flake. You're probably not gonna make it to the gym the day after that. So like, don't look at yourself as this person, right? Look at yourself as just a thing that you're managing, right? You're just managing this thing. You're one step back from it, and you just gotta give this thing the best chance of succeeding at this goal of losing weight, right? So what's going to give it the best chance? You would probably give this thing more rational advice than you'd actually like give yourself, right? So that's why it's better to look at it that way. You want something that's sustainable, something you can manage every day, not something that's going to be like this big ass, like just one and done. Like, just, it's not an explosion, mate. We're simmering. We're just simmering all the way, mate. Oh, that made sense. That's, you get it, don't you? Right, that's it. That's my top 7. I don't know, top 7. I'm just saying stuff, mate. 7 fat loss secrets that doctors don't want you to know. Doctors definitely do want you to know them, because then they'd probably be less busy with people having heart attacks and shit. Anyway, I know that my content is usually geared more towards actual like lifters, people who give a shit about having a bicep, well, 2 biceps, but also there's a lot of people out there that just want to lose weight. They don't really care about what they can bench. And so if you are one of those people, then I certainly wish you luck this year, and I hope you found the video generally helpful. I didn't want to get too deep on like specifics for like calories and protein and carbs and fat and all that kind of stuff, because I have gone through it a million times. I will link some videos in the description that you might find helpful. If you want to do some further watching or reading, right, everyone like my shit, subscribe to my channel, see you next time.
Jordy Lenny is my hero.